Hi, I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime magazine. I'm here today with Michelle Gomez, investigator, and AJ Barrera, president at Barrera Investigations. Barrera's investigators and surveillance specialists operate within the state of Texas with a proven track record of thousands of successful investigations. To learn more about Barrera Investigations, visit barrerainvestigations.com. Michelle, AJ, welcome. Great to have you with us today.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
So, Michelle, back in 2013, Wired called you the world's best bounty hunter. So, is that still the case, or even better than you were back then?
I'm very humble, Steve. So I was even shocked to be, called the best bounty hunter in the world, because there's a lot of good people out there that work in the same industry. When I was approached by the writer Randall Sullivan, I was like, okay, there are other people, there are other skip tracers out there. He goes, yes, I've already contacted them, and they said you are the best. So I'm going to follow you to your next big case. I said, okay, well, I'm working on this right now, and I'm going to be in Louisiana in a few days. And he goes, for what? I said, Ryan Mullins. So he said, I will be there. Well, he was there a day earlier before I had to pick up my security guy that protects me up in Houston, and we ventured on to Louisiana, and within hours I had Ryan Mullins in my hand, and it was all because I do my skip trace work here at the house, and then when I go and actually do the grid work and the physical work, it's because my information that I've sought and researched and figured out to be factual, I get to my destination and my work is completed, and I guess being a good skip tracer is what really counts. Putting the puzzles together, it's not easy. It's very hard because I get distracted with other cases that come in, other calls that come in, other priorities that come in, and my home life as well, But I just want to say I'm humble about how I'm looked at in the industry. But yes, I'm good. I'm good at what I do.
So, what exactly is a skip tracer? We have an audience who are tuned into us. Some of them are hardcore security professionals. They, of course, know what a skip tracer is, but a lot of people don't. So just give us a quick description.
Well, there is a definition out there for a skip tracer. But as I calculate my experience in the past 19 years of me working this kind of industry, as a skip tracer, I would compile the whole enchilada as a person with unique skills that can put together data either in a short period of time to formulate a sound-based decision on what I'm going to do next. Doing skip trace work is I have access to a lot of information that I can either find myself or I go and reach out to my very valuable sources that I have. I have a network. As a skip tracer, you have to formulate in your mind how to attack a case. And each case is different. Each case is handled separately and different, and the sensitivity is different in a wide range of a scale. So if I'm going to chase a fugitive, I have to know their profile. I have to know their jacket. I have to know who they are, what they eat, what they like to drink. I have to know everything in order for me to formulate an idea of how am I going to go after this guy or this girl. If it's somebody that's running from the law regarding trying to be not being served for a divorce, well, I got to find out who they are. Where do they sit at? And I use an acronym, SITS. It's Shelter, Income, Transportation, and Social Media. Once I've gathered all the information on that acronym, I know where my subject sits.
So you work for Barrera Investigations. AJ, you're the founder. Give us just a high level on the company, what you do.
Yes, sir. We specialize in litigation cases and family law. We have 16 investigators through the state of Texas, everyone with their specialty, like Michelle. She's great with the skip tracing and everything else. But we do specialize in litigation on the family law end of it. Um, but like I said, it's all puzzle pieces. So everyone kind of fills that puzzle in our company.
And is the internet becoming a bigger part of the puzzle over the years? I know you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, it's a huge part of it. It's pretty much the foundation to everything at this point. Everyone's got that phone in their hand, and it's a great source to track, as well as it's a great source to investigate without having to be in the field as much. So yeah, absolutely.
So, AJ, were you familiar with Michelle and the work she did in the Ryan Mullins case?
No, that's prior to us connecting together. We've been together for a couple of years, so that was before we connected.
So, Michelle, tell us about Ryan Eugene Mullins before we jump into the case. Who is he? What's his background?
Ryan Eugene Mellon, he is more like a very simple cyber guy. He doesn't use the high-tech computers. He's very, very humble. His main thing was how to make a check, how to defraud the banking system. And he knows everything about the banking system. He knows everything about real estate. He knows everything about DMV. And he is very savvy with his choice of words. He could blend in to any kind of community or any kind of social gathering, and he would be accepted as he is. But he does that to gain financial information, gain financial wealth. He would go into banks and approve his own loans to call the victim. Hey, I'm John Doe from ABC Bank. I see that you have inquired about Ryan Mullen for this loan. He has a very good client. He has substantial amount of money, and we approve the inquiry. Whatever it is. It is very simple guy.
So,
nothing tricky.
So back in 1999, if I have this right, he was on the FBI's most wanted list. He was a fugitive for 14 years. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what. And when I found that out too, I'm like, I got a call from U.S. Marshal Mr. Chesby, and he's like, Michelle, when you find the yacht, I need for you to find Ryan Mullen. And I'm like, at first I was just looking for the yacht. I didn't even know anything else about the government and all this, him being wanted. Until Mr. Chesby called me and said he wanted him because he was wanted on the FBI list. And I said, okay, well then I got two cases in one.
Right.
So I did my focus was the yacht. And in that investigation, I found out that he was being financed by a small agency that had money. He was also being helped by a tow guy that dealt with the towing in the local area. He was the one doing all the printing. He was you need in a scam, you need a triangle, and he was the top. He was coordinating everything. He told them what to do. And when I found out who his two legs were, I attacked them both, disabled them, and then I went straight for Ryan.
Now, you described him as, somebody who can, just sort of fit in and appear like, an everyday person, like a lot of cyber criminals do. But his profile, at least when you first got involved, he was diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic. I think he had a near genius IQ. Did you have that background information when you first took the case?
Yes, a little bit. I also got a call from his mother, Katarina, and she told me that he was a little schizophrenic. He had a compulsive order of making sure he always had money and always got over on you. And he had this multiple personality split too, where he would be angry and then try to comfort you with his anger. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I'm not a psychologist and I'm not in any means in the medical field or whatever, but I'm like, okay, my focus is just to find him. I did take all that kind of stuff into consideration. She did tell me he was not dangerous, so I was not worried. But she did reach out to me and tell me, thank you for catching my son. He needs to be caught. And his first victim was his father. $10,000 from him at a very young age. His first victim was his father.
What exactly was he doing to conceal his identity? And how did he, stay on the run for so long?
Well, look, he's from Louisiana, and in that state, coming to investigate this case, the Louisiana and the politics and all that stuff. You put out money on the desk, and you'll buy their it's hush money. They don't care. The politics over there is just corrupt as hell. And Ryan, he had multiple companies, shell companies. He would use them to his advantage for everything he tried to accomplish and attain. So he would use shell companies, his own shell companies. They didn't have no value to it, but he knew how to use the system for his works.
Now, AJ, do we still see, people who are able to conceal their identities and remain anonymous for that long a period of time now with the internet and, the type of investigative tools we have?
Yes. If anything, I think it's strengthened their ability to hide. They're able to, manipulate the system. So yeah, absolutely. We still see that to this day.
And is law enforcement, whether it's the FBI or other agencies, still reaching out to the private sector, to investigation firms, to skip tracers to help them?
Yes, sir.
So, Michelle, let's talk about, how you actually found that yacht, because that was a really big deal. It sounds like that was, the breakthrough. How did you actually find that yacht?
When I was able to identify his two legs, okay, which was a financial backer, and it was the guy who was in the tow industry. I was able to connect the dots. I'm like, okay, the yacht needs gas. The yacht needs fuel to operate. During my investigation, I remember I did not make any calls. I was only making calls to the harbor police. I was making calls to local neighbors in the area. I called the DMV for the T tags because he had so many Rolls Royces, and I was trying to find everything. I called the dealership where he did his exchange for a car for another Rolls Royce. So I was also gathering information about his character and how he talked. So as I was gathering all this information from the harbor police, and I was making sure that he was being, if they spotted his yacht, that they had to stop him because he had a warrant out for his arrest. And then I had the yacht information. It was totally different from when I found it. It was totally different. They already changed the name on the yacht. I forgot the name of the new name. They had already played and tampered with the VIN number. And so that got even harder. It was harder for me to locate the yacht. But when I attacked the financier, the guy who was working with the money part, I had to focus on him because I had to disable him. I had to get into his mind. And when I hauled ass to Louisiana, I found out his daughter was dying. He was in a hurry to the hospital because something about a heart failure to a little girl, whatever. And when I approached him in his car, I said, right now, all that matters is I need the yacht, and I know that your daughter's life is important. So let's focus with your daughter, and let's get to her. Where's the yacht? And he only gave me a map of specifics. He didn't have an actual address, but he gave me the highway.
Mm-hmm.
So when he gave me that, I had to travel 2 hours and then another 2 hours to get to that because he threw me in a circle. You know what he was doing? He was waiting for Ryan. He knew Ryan Mullins was about to depart that yacht, what do you call it? Where he was stationed, where he had his yacht parked. I immediately took off and I hauled ass. Even the cop stopped me and said, what's your rush? I said, sir, this guy is wanted. I need to go find him. I know where he's at. And he ran it and did all this stuff. He followed me. I get to the local parish. I find him. I see the yacht and I see it right behind this magnolia tree. I get off and I open up my hood and I act like I'm broken down because I'm actually parked in this big old plantation. So my security guy, I leave him behind. I go towards where the yacht's parked, and I'm watching him. I'm observing him, making sure he doesn't come out with any weapons. But I see that somebody else comes out, starts removing the rope from the area where they anchor down. And I immediately had to approach the yacht, and I said, Ryan Mullins. And he looked at me and he goes, who the hell are you? And I said, I'm Michelle Gomez. You need to come down. Get off the yacht. And he's like, okay. So the other guy comes down, and they have 3 cats, I think 2 dogs, and a parrot. They have all kinds of animals. It's like Noah's Ark in that yacht.
Yeah, pirate
And
ship.
so he comes out, and I said, are you Ryan Eugene Mullins? He goes, who's asking? And I said, I'm Michelle Gomez. And he laughs and smirks, and he's like, you found me. Then the police come in their little suits. The parents come in some kind of like airborne suits, and they're all excited because they've never seen anything like this. And they deputized me for just that one moment in time, and I said, Ryan Mullen, you're under arrest. And then I called Mr. Chesby, the U.S. Marshal, and I said, Mr. Chesby, where are you at? And he says, I'm in Marathon, Florida. I said, well, I have Ryan Mullen right here. He goes, how? I said, don't worry about it. I have him under arrest. You can speak with the agency and, do your own little law stuff that you need to deal with. I said, I have to get on the yacht, but I couldn't get on the yacht until like an hour and a half later until they cleared it, and they arrested the 2 guys. There was another guy there, and they got Ryan, and then they removed all the animals. They had to call animal services and remove those animals, and then I was able to clear the yacht and take an inventory of everything was on there and take pictures of everything. And in that yacht, I found on the inventory how he defrauded the government. He was claiming that his renters, apparently he owned some building in Louisiana, he claimed that the renters weren't paying him. Well, they were paying him because I interviewed a few of those renters and said, hey, did you, because these were on the list, were you able to pay your rent in full on this month? Because I have never needed extra help. Their rent is like $450, $320, $500. And so when Ryan didn't get the full amount, he would ask the government, I need money for my renters. This is a Section 8 housing. I need money. So I think that is where he funneled the money from the government.
So AJ, we talk to a lot of people. We work with the FBI, and well, not work with them, but have spent time with them. We've been to FBI headquarters and speak to a lot of agents. We speak to a lot of law enforcement officials nationally. I don't think that the everyday citizen realizes just how troubled and serious these cyber criminals are. Sometimes there's the image of a hacker in a hoodie, and they're, behind a computer, and you're just thinking about, what they're doing when they're sitting there on that computer. But, from your background, your experience, do you see any difference between, cyber criminals and, street criminals?
No. If anything, I think they can hide behind the computer a little easier. You're right. There is a stereotype that people assume that and it's just an everyday person. That's why they blend in well. That's the reason they're able to do what they can. But unfortunately, I think it's strengthened by the internet because you can be something you're not and con people. And so that's what makes it a dangerous world. But absolutely, I think a con man can get away with more with the internet.
Right. Yeah, because we're seeing things that we were seeing in the street in the 80s and the 90s on the internet now, whether it's drug trafficking or human trafficking, which you started to allude to, Michelle. So it's all just very disturbing. So Michelle, bring us fast forward to today, 2021. What is the state of the technology? What types of tools do you have at your disposal? Skip tracers in general? Are there more sophisticated tools that are available to you today to track people down?
Yes, there is, but I'm very simple, especially coming from an engineering background. The configuration is all right here in my head. I have access to a lot of tools. I have access to people with tools. And my job as a skip tracer is to figure out and formulate what has happened in the case, if you know what I mean. I do have access to, spare phones. I'm real good in the computer. I can get in if I need to. But if I need to focus on something, and if I'm looking for a certain thing, I reach out to my network. I have gamers involved. I have high-tech analysts that deal with cell phone data. Um, Actually, some of my cases have gone to the AGs already for a grand jury, which should be any day now. I have another case developing now that has human trafficking and sex trafficking. So within those networks that I have, sir, I've utilized and I've gained a lot of friends in the industry that they specialize in certain particular things that I need. Like if I need to find a child that was on Snapchat or something, I know somebody that can specialize in Snapchat activity, the data, how to retrieve it, how to get it, everything, who they're talking to. And sometimes when I have some time, I'll go in there and I'll look myself, because I know what I'm looking for. Yes, the technology is good, but that is for law enforcement. I don't ping. I never have to ping anybody because I know how to find somebody just with my acronym.
Is it fun? I mean, I read the story, and it reads like a movie script. There was one point when you found a casino located in a truck stop where Mullins ran a poker machine until 2019 when his license was revoked. How did you find out about that?
Research online. I know how to use the meta tags and hashtags and all that kind of stuff, and I'm real good with finding that particular information, especially if you hone in on trying to find that particular method. Like, okay, I know that he was involved with DMV. Because of his shell company had to do with gaming, I had to go into that. I had to call a lot of people. I was on the phone so much that that's how I was obtaining information on where to look next. Because if you don't use your phone and you don't use your voice and you don't use common sense when you're talking to these strangers, you're not going to get any information. So it was all a matter of being savvy on the phone and saying hi. I don't act like a cop by all means, or any kind of legal analyst or any kind of legal lawyer. I'm very humble. I'm like, hi, I need your help. I'm trying to locate some information on this particular person. Can you help me? It was all about them. I put that person on the phone as if they were my angel that day. And, sometimes being very nice and very generous on the phone and very sincere, the sincerity of my voice actually helps when I speak with these strangers. Because I think it makes their day or makes them feel like a hero for that day or anything. But for me, it's intelligence gathering. I know how to gather information.
So AJ, how does somebody find you, a company like yours? When should they reach out to you, and turn to a professional?
When you have questions, go with your gut feeling. I always tell people, you have that feeling for a reason. So, contact us, just so you have that little inkling, something doesn't sound right. You feel like things are not adding up, contact, a private investigator, research that investigator, make sure they're licensed, make sure they have the specialty that you're looking for. But always go with your gut feeling.
Right. And does your firm handle, more classic traditional cybercrime, computer intrusions, things that are, hacking, if you will, companies who have been, victims?
We do. Again, there are 16 of us, so everyone has their specialty, from the cyber aspect of it to family law to what Michelle does. So absolutely, we do have individuals that specialize in that.
And I'm curious your take on the labor shortage in cyber. It's something that a lot of companies are grappling with right now. Employers, law enforcement is having a very hard time filling positions. There's a lot of cybercrime. We don't have enough cyber fighters. What do you see? Is there young talent, coming into the industry?
Yes, I think there's a lot of young talent coming in. There's also a lot of older people who've changed gears on this, and they're focusing more on that. So the whole climate is changing towards the cyber aspect of it. But absolutely, our younger generation is going to monopolize on the cyber aspect of it.
So, Michelle, any closing words from you to young people who are thinking about a potential career? I don't know. Would it be somebody who's leaning towards computer science, or somebody more towards criminal justice, or could it just be anybody with a knack for cat and mouse play, maybe unsure about what they want to do in their career? How do you actually get started?
Well, I think that if somebody wants to get started, which I do get a lot of calls from males and females that are in college and they admire me, they reach out to me and I do talk to them. I said, do you have a knack for helping people? That's number one. You got to have a passion. If you don't have a passion for it, then this is not for you. If you have a knack for, phone research, reading, because sometimes we do need a lot of readers. I'm not a reader. I only read what's important to me. If I need to find information, I will read. But if it has something to do with baking a cake or something like that, you will not catch me reading anything about recipes. If you have a talent for surveillance and out there in the field, go for it. I don't like to do surveillance. I only go to do surveillance only when I already know that is my destination where I need to go pick up my subject, or I know my subject's there. If it's in another state, like Unlimited Recoveries works outside the state of Texas. When I'm at Barrera Investigations, it's only for Texas cases. And that's generally under my pocket card. I'm under Barrera Investigations for that. I think that we need a lot of people that target kids in the TikTok and the Roblox and all this kind of stuff. There is a knack for people that can research and agitate the system to see what's going on, because there's a lot of trafficking going on in the forums. I have a lot of experience in that, locating people and kids that go missing, and their parents have no idea what's going on in their own house. And that needs to be addressed in schools. The parents need to be educated, the kids need to be educated, because the perpetrator is always outside the school door.
Right.
They're always watching it. I think there needs to be a big segment on that with cybersecurity, because parents are so uneducated. They don't have time. They're working from 8 to 5. And they don't know who their kids are. They don't know who their kids are talking to. That right there needs to be addressed. It's a big issue in this world, and we need more people to find kids that go missing in this arena.
Right. Well, I'm really glad the two of you came on today. I think there's a lot of young people who would like to, be involved with law enforcement, or sometimes, private investigations, but you have to be able to put, faces, in front of these people to see role models and to get a better feel for, what the field could be like. So it was enlightening talking about your background, Michelle, but also to open this up to a broader audience. AJ, thank you so much also for coming on today.
Thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime magazine. Joining us today was Michelle Gomez and AJ Barrera of Barrera Investigations. To learn more about Barrera Investigations, visit barrerainvestigations.com. You can follow all of our media at cybercrimemagazine.com.